I think you can start admitting. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us again. Can you see my slide? Can you see my slide, please? Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry, I think we had a little issues. Was visible before. Good evening, everyone. Once again, apologies. The slide came up just before the meeting was opened to everyone, but somehow I'm seeing it, but it's not coming up for everyone to see. I'm just trying to bring it back. Apologies, please. But we should start anytime from now. Can we see the slide now? Can we see the slides now? Please, if you can see the slide, just type yes so that we can start. Apologies, we are really far behind schedule and this is not our usual practice. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, fine. So we're going to be starting now. Thank you for joining us again. We want to welcome everybody. Apologies for the little itch that we just had. And I'll try to be as fast as possible so that we can still keep to time. This is an hour with the cardiologist. We want to welcome everyone. Thank you for your patience. We cannot take it for granted. We are very delighted that you have, kept faith with us, and even despite the small itch, you've been able to patiently wait. So, without much ado, we're going to start immediately. Thanks to those joining us for the first time. Thanks to those that have been, with us for quite a while and are still around today. And I want to say thanks to all our doctors that are on the platform. So we're going to be looking at tips for a healthy heart part 2. I'm Akinsanya Olusegun Joseph. Can you hear me? Okay. So we'll be looking at tips for a healthy heart part 2. I'm Akinsanya Olusegun Joseph. The last time we looked at few things about a healthy heart, and I'm just going to quickly brush through some of it and then key in on the things we're going to be looking at today. 80% of causes of cardiovascular disease are preventable by cultivating healthy lifestyle behaviors. We looked at that last week. But for those who are joining us for the first time, we've just got to re-emphasize this. Cardiovascular disease is largely preventable, and that is made possible by the way we live. Our choices really, really matters. So 80% of causes of cardiovascular disease are preventable by cultivating healthy lifestyle behaviors. That is extremely important. And as we, look at these together, I believe that we will be able to navigate some things that will, some roads that will help us to zero in and maximize our choices and be able to really, really move forward as far as healthy lifestyle is concerned. Remember, we're looking at tips for a healthy heart part 2. Okay, for those who are joining us, who are just coming in now. So, having said that, let's quickly look at some of the lifestyle um, modifications that we need to, just quickly brush through before we really hone in on the things I have to share today. We talked about the last week and we're going to repeat it again. Reduction of salt intake is important that we reduce our salt intake. All right, very, very important. We are becoming more salt loving. We are becoming more, of a salt consuming community. We need to reduce it. And it's not just it's not just during adulthood, even from, very, very little beginning. So we need to expose our children to less salt. All right, because what they do now can determine, the future for them. Okay, so we need to reduce our salt intake. We need to reduce consumption of processed meats, red meat, Okay, cow, ram, goat meat, shaki, pomodi, offals, roundabout, isiewu, and the rest. We need to cut them down. All right. It's extremely important that we do this because some of these things that we consume can actually hurt us so badly. We need to reduce intake of saturated fats and cholesterol rich food. We need to exercise regularly. It's extremely important. Smoking cessation is very, very important. We need to, for anyone that is smoking, it has to be stopped. If you're finding it difficult to stop, please reach out to professionals that can help you, take you through the journey. It can be very, very tedious. We know that. So it's extremely important that we do this smoking cessation. And we're not just talking about primary smokers alone, even secondary smokers, very, very important. We need to, if you live with somebody who smokes, if you have a close friend, close relation who smokes, while the person is smoking, if you are beside him or her and you are, inhaling the cigarette smoke, you are a secondary smoker. You are at much risk as the primary smoker. So please, both second and primary and secondary smoking needs to be stopped. Extremely important. Increase your intake of fruits, vegetable, whole grains, and nuts. All right, is extremely important. The more colored your food is, your table is, the better. Fruits, vegetables, oils, and nuts are extremely, important with regards to our meals and our cardiac health. Not just cardiac health, but our total well-being. Very important. Limit intakes of sweets, sugar sweetened beverages, very, very important. And we have a lot of them. There's an explosion in that particular industry for sweetened, beverages. The soft drinks, the sodas, very, very important that we cut down their intake. All right. It's important because it impacts on the heart, impacts on the vessels, impacts on the brain, it can impact on the kidneys and so many others. So we need to cut it down. It's very important. Take instead, replace with healthy beverages. Healthy beverages like green tea, healthy beverages like hibiscus drink. All right, healthy drinks like cocoa drink, dark chocolate is very, very good for your heart. Cocoa drink, the chocolate, not the one mixed with saturated fats, not the one mixed with whole milk, not the one that has been sweetened, all right, with with sugar. No, we cut down on those ones, all right, and we take more of the dark chocolate. Is extremely important that this is done. It will help your heart. And then aim for a healthy weight. Aim for a healthy weight. We've talked about it before that a healthy weight is a BMI. By the time you do your a calculation, we call it body mass index. BMI, okay, body mass index, weight divided by height squared. So if your weight is 50 kg and your height is 1.65, for example, your BMI will be weight divided by 1.65 divided by 1.65. The normal is between 20 to 24.9. All right. 25 to 29.9, the person is overweight. 30 and above, the person is obese. Now, how do you calculate your ideal weight? If your target, let's assume that your target is a BMI of 24.9, which is the higher level of normal. All right. So it will be 24.9 times 1.6 Can you see my slides? No. Just a minute. Let me just quickly, restore it back. Can you see my slide? Sorry. Okay. We're talking about BMI while I'm trying to restore the slide. Sorry. Um, just to let us know that you can do that simple maths and then you will get your BMI. Very, very simple to do. And to get your ideal weight is what I mentioned to us that you can just quickly do the ideal BMI that you want or that you are aiming at. Okay, times height squared. Very important, very, very simple a calculation that we can do on our own. And then you can, walk towards an ideal BMI for yourself.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I think, hello, apologies. We may need to just continue without the slide. We will send the slides to us. I think that may just be what we'll do. Hello, is it still echoing? Hello, can you hear me now? Is it still echoing? Okay, no. All right. So, we were talked about, I mean, the ideal weight. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Aim for an ideal weight, very important. Um, take a break when necessary is extremely important. All work without, I mean, play without relaxation, can be very, very damaging to our health. So we need to be able to cultivate that habit of taking a break. All right. When necessary, please take a break. Is very, very important for us to do. Deal with negative emotions. Okay. And there's so much, going on presently in our world, so much going on in our climate, but we need to try as much as possible to deal with negative emotions, to, try and reduce to the barest minimum the impact of negative emotions on us. Negative emotions will bring about the release of some chemicals that can, damage our hearts, release stress hormones and cause a lot of damages to our heart. So we need to, try as much as possible to deal with it. Stress management is also equally important in this regard. We've got to deal with stress management. We've got to try our best possible to make sure that as far as stress is concerned, we deal with it. All right. Very, very important for us to note that stress is a major player with regards to cardiovascular health. And if we can deal with it, that will be very, very helpful to us. So we need to do that. All right. Cultivate positive emotions. Very important for us to be able to do. We need to cultivate very, positive emotions is important in this regard. That will help us a lot. So create room for humor. Create room for, for cheerful moments. Very, very important. Reduce intake of alcohol or stop it altogether. It will not help in any form. All right. Reduce the intake or stop the intake of energy drinks as well. Energy drinks contain a lot of caffeine. Caffeinated drinks, are so much, around us. And caffeine is a major stimulant of the heart. All right. We need to try as much as possible to cut it down, or if possible, eliminate it completely. Reduce exposure to pollutants as much as possible. All right. Now, the next thing is to know your numbers. Know your numbers, your blood pressure, your pulse rate, your blood sugar, your cholesterol level. Try your best, to make sure you know it. It's very important for you to know that this is something that we can and we need to take ownership of. All right. So that when it comes to heart health, we can live a very, very um, sound, you know, healthy life. This is very, very important for us to know. Now, there is a concept called eat less salt. Eat less salt. And that is what I want to deal with now. Okay. We need to cultivate that habit of eating less salt. Because when it comes to salt, it is something that, very sweet as it is, it can plague a lot of people. It can reduce the cardiovascular health of one. It can increase blood pressure. It can increase, the mass of the heart. The heart becomes more weighty, more, enlarged. It can enlarge the heart. It can impact on the heart to cause enlargement without going through the route of the blood pressure. Okay, it can cause increased stimulation of some chemicals in the body that can bring about increase in blood vessel thickness, increase in blood vessel stiffness, both thickness and stiffness. So we need to deal with it. All right. Not only that, increased salt can bring about, dementia. It can reduce the mental acuity, the mental, prowess of some of, of the patient or of the person. Okay. Increased salt can impact on the kidneys. Increased salt can impact on, the gastrointestinal system. So it is something we need to deal with. Dietary salt intake reduction will impact on the risk of developing hypertension. So it reduces the less salt you take, the less risk you have to, coming down with hypertension. So please reduce your salt intake. We can't say, it will delay or prevent the incidence of antihypertensive therapy. Okay, very, very important. The incidence of, commencement of antihypertensive therapy. Okay, and when one is not, well, if one is taking the drugs and at the same time salt consumption is high, your requirement for antihypertensive will increase. And that's why we tell people, please reduce your salt intake. Reduce your salt intake. Very important. We need to do that. And as we do that, it will help us a lot to maintain good hygiene, good health for our heart, for our brain, for our senses. These are things that we need to do that will really, really help us. Okay? So, and when we talk of salt, it's not just salty condiments, it's not just salt on its own, even salty condiments are very important for us to cut down. I once had a patient that came to the consulting room and said, and I, told her, Mama, I hope, you're not taking much salt. Please, you need to reduce it. It's very important for you to cut down on your salt intake. And the woman told me, he said, "Oh, I've stopped taking salt. The only thing I take now is I just put plenty Maggi." And I'm like, "No, man, it's still salt. So plenty Maggi or plenty, Ajinomoto or any of those stuffs are still part of salt intake. All right. And these are things we need to deal with. These are things we need to, make sure that we work on so that we do not become victims of the impact of salt. All right. The negative impact of salt, which can, cause a lot of things as far as, cardiovascular health is concerned. Okay. We need to also make sure that we reduce, when we reduce the intake of salt, it will help us to save costs. It will, reduce the incidence of cardiovascular morbidity and mortality. That's cardiovascular death. Okay, that is also very, very important for us to note that when we reduce the intake of salt, it will help us to navigate that area of reducing cardiovascular mortality, that's cardiovascular death, and cardiovascular morbidity,
This
that's
meeting is being recorded.
cardiovascular, diseases. So it's something that we need to look at. It's something that we need to try as much as possible to deal with so that we can, as much as possible, so that we can, as much as possible, give room for a healthy heart and a healthy lifestyle. That is very, very important for us to know. Okay. The other thing we need to know is to cut down on fats. Okay. So there are some good fats and bad fat. The bad fats are the saturated fats. Saturated fats are, poultry fats like, fatty meats, butter, full cream, dairy products. All right. Those are saturated, fats, so to speak. All right. Now, the vegetable, the coconuts and palm oil are also part of it. These are, just a minute. These are fats that can clog the heart. These are fats that can impact on the cardiovascular system and, make things go, not the way we would have really loved. So we need to make sure that we deal with these trans fats, fats that are in, you know, cheese, cakes, pastries. These are also fats that can clog our arteries. So, which are the good fats? The unsaturated fats are good. The unsaturated fats are fats that the unsaturated fats are those that will, help our heart health and, cause reduction in bad fats and, increase the level of our good fat. So there are two fats. Number one, the low density lipoprotein. Those are bad fats. They are the ones that clog the arteries, clog the system, and make things not to go well. While the just a minute, I think I've gotten a way around it. Okay. Can we see the slide now? Please, if you can see the slide, just type yes. Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me well? Apologies, I don't know what happened. But good, we've been able to sort that out. So, this is what I was talking about. Less salt, eat less salt. All right. Now, dietary salt will cause increased blood pressure, and that will ultimately lead to hypertrophy. Hypertrophy just means a big heart. There are times someone will do X-ray and they say, oh, you have a big heart, your heart is enlarged. The salt can cause that. All right. Salt can also cause a bit of, replacement of the cardiac muscles with, fibrosis, with dead tissues. All right. Now, this is also some of the things I talked about. It can affect the brain, affect the heart, affect the kidneys, affect the blood vessels. All right. Reduced dietary salt intake will bring about reduced risk of developing hypertension, delay or prevent the incidence of antihypertensive therapy. So with reduction in salt intake, you can actually, gain ownership of your blood pressure. Blood pressure can be better controlled. You facilitate blood pressure reduction in hypertensive patients receiving medical therapy, and then may represents a simple cost-saving mediator to reduce cardiovascular morbidity and mortality. This was where I was. I mean, I was talking about so vegetable fats, coconut oil, and palm oil. Palm oil, in the sense that if it is solidified oil, or you put it down, it solidifies. You have to heat it, warm it on the stove or on the gas burner before it melts. That's fat. That palm oil is not too good for you. And then if you bleach your palm oil, you convert it to bad oil. That's what we're talking about. Ordinarily, when it is in the liquid form, it's naturally liquid form without solidifying. It's not a bad one, actually. So fatty meats, butter, full dairy meat products, they are bad fats. All right. Polyunsaturated fats like corn oil, soya beans oil, that's plant oils, are very good. Avocado, pear oil, olive oil, canola oil, these are very good oils. All right. What are the differences? So meat, dairy products, eggs, coconut oil, they solidify. Fats that solidify at room temperature are bad fats. Cheese and the rest, these are bad fats for your heart. They raise um, the low density lipoprotein. This LDL, low density lipoprotein, are the bad fats in our body. And these are the ones that clog the blood vessels. All right. And then they increase the risk of developing diabetes and other cardiovascular diseases. It increases insulin resistance. On the other hand, the polyunsaturated fats like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oils. These are all that are liquid at room temperature. When your oil is liquid at room temperature, is a good oil. The low density lipoprotein, which is the bad oil or the bad fat, all right, the bad fat in our body, and then raise the HDL. HDL is the high density lipoprotein, which is the good fat in our body. And then it decreases insulin resistance, decreases the risk of coming down with diabetes and the rest. All right. So when you're eating, please emphasize on this: fruits and vegetables, whole grains, healthy sources of proteins, fish, seafoods, legumes, nuts, okay, poultries that are very, very low in fat. Remove the skin, and if desired, lean meat as small as possible. Liquid plants, soybeans, canola oil. Reduce the intake of these ones: beverages and food with added sugars, ultra processed food, processed meat, alcoholic beverages, tropic oils. Now look at this. All right, you can choose which you want to have. All right, let your meals be very, very rich in fruits. It will help your overall physique. Not only that, it will help your heart, it will help your system. Very, very important. Whereas, unfortunately, many people don't invest in this. What they tend to take more are these, okay? The cheese, the burgers, the meat pies, the fries, the Coke, the sodas. These are the things that people tend to take more. All right. Even for those who exercise, sometimes I go to the stadium, okay, and you see someone who has just finished exercising will down 2 bottles of Coke. You have reduced the impact of the exercise. Some will even take alcohol. They will balance, set table, and start drinking alcohol. You have reduced the impact of your exercise. Please, let's invest more in fruits. All right. And like I used to say, you can blend them. You don't necessarily need to take them raw. You can blend them. All right. I mean, people talk of five alive. You can make your own five alive. Just choose five very good, I mean, and fresh fruits and blend them. That's five alive. You can do 10 alive. You can do 20 alive. You can do any alive you want, any number. Just blend them, put nuts and everything, blend them together and take. It will help your system so much. Very important. Now let's go to exercises. All right. I'll quickly rush it so that we can finish. So regular physical activity helps to prevent and treat heart diseases, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, overweight, and obesity. All right. It can also improve mental health, quality of life, well-being. It can improve your memory. Some people say, "Oh, I'm losing memory. I'm losing memory." Just invest in exercise to an extent, and it will improve your memory, improve your mood, improve your alertness, improve your well-being. Very, very important. So we advocate 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity for at least 5 days per week. That will help to maintain health for you. And if you can do that, okay, these are things that we need to do. But if you can't do that, then you need to sit less. But before we get to that, let's look at some of the things that exercise will help us to achieve. It will reduce dementia by 30%. Dementia just means, loss of mental acumen, loss of intelligence, and insight, and the rest. People, I'm sure you've seen some old elderly people that they are not able to decipher where they are. Some will we on themselves, and release on themselves, and do all sorts that you'll be wondering, Daddy, no, that's not where you're supposed to. Mommy, no, that's not the place. That's dementia. Exercise will reduce it up to 30%. It will reduce all-cause mortality by 30%. It will reduce hip fracture by 68%. That's very, 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 very important. We talk of pathological fracture for the, for orthopedic people, and you know that the elderly are more at risk of having fracture. Okay, it reduces depression by up to 30%. Okay, it reduces cardiovascular disease by up to 35%. Very important. We need to invest in it. And exercise does not cost anything. It will not cost you your money. If you don't want it, you don't need to go to a gym. You can exercise at home. You can pace up down at home. You can run on the spot. Okay, you can do things on your own at home. If you want to go to the gym, fine, it's good. Okay, you may get someone else. The fact that you're seeing people around can motivate you. But even without going to the gym, even without buying the treadmill, fine. If you want to buy it, good. If you have it, use it. Some people will buy and just keep it in the house and they're not using it. That's not good. Exercise. It will reduce diabetes by up to 40%, reduce colon cancer by up to 30%, breast cancer by up to 20%. These are things that we need to know. All right. And if you say that, oh, I don't have time for exercise, I can't really do it more, then sit less. At work, instead of doing a stretch of 8 to 4 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 3, or you sit in a boardroom, you don't need to go 4 hours stretch. If you do 2 hours, 2.5 hours, let everybody get up, walk around, sit less. All right, that's what we advocate. Stand and move more. Do light physical activity. Instead of entering the elevator, take the staircase. That will help you increase your step count. WHO talks about 10,000 steps per day. Try it. You can put on your own step count watch or something, a device, and do it. It's not cheap. It's not a simple thing to get up to 10,000 steps. No, you will have to do something. When you're waiting for your lunch, or when you're waiting for your dinner, you can use, instead of just relaxing, or lying down on the sofa, or just watch news or watch TV. You can watch, but you can pace around in the living room. By all means, walk more, sit less, and move more. That's what we advocate. Also, we talk about, if you want to receive call, for example, you can take your call moments as your activity moments. So instead of taking your call and sitting down, sometimes we speak for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Instead of sitting to receive the call, once the call comes in, as you press to receive it, or as you dial to call somebody, stand up, pace around while receiving that call, while conversing with that person. It will help you sit less and move more. Very, very important. All right. Now, if we hone in on the cardiovascular system, all right, exercise will help to reduce blood pressure, reduce inflammation, reduce the death of the cardiac muscles. Exercise will help to reduce body weight and help with you getting ideal weight. It will reduce stress. Exercise is a stress relief mechanism. Okay, it will reduce the accumulation of bad fats in the body. All right, and it will, if for those who have plaques in their body, that is cholesterol and the rest, it will help to stabilize it, to make sure that it doesn't erupt and cause heart attack. It will help the function of your blood vessels. Okay, it will reduce abnormal heartbeats. Those are things that exercise will do. It will reduce the chances of having clots, blood clots, and suffering from embolism, pulmonary embolism. It will reduce it. That's the clot dislodging and going to the to the heart, and blocking the pulmonary arteries. It will reduce it. It will make your insulin to work more and make your body to respond better to insulin, thereby reducing the chances of coming down with diabetes and other things. It will improve your sleep quality, increase the level of good cholesterol. Exercise is very, 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 very advantageous in every way. In every way. Let's invest in it, please. We'll stop here for today. Thank you for staying through, and sorry for the itches we had. I'm going to, give room for questions now. Now, the reason why we have decided to go through this route, I could just have ended up doing just this. Let me go. I could just have ended up just reeling out this for us, which are the things that I'm now explaining. Oh, reduce salt intake, reduce, processed meats, exercise regularly, stop smoking, and do this. But we need to know why we are saying we need to do all of these things. We need to know why we're saying reduce your salt intake. We need to know why we're saying, do more of, exercise, move more. We need to know why we're saying cut down on fatty, saturated fats, fatty meals, and invest more on monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fats. That's the cholesterol rich oils and cholesterol rich foods, and fruits and nuts. That we need to know the reasons. Okay, that will help us to choose wisely. So that's why we're going through this. All right. The next one we're going to still look at some other risk factors, break them down, why you need to do what is recommended. For example, why should you exercise? We have looked at them today. All right. We need to talk of one or two more, and then we wrap it up. These are things that will help your choices. Help your choices. Help your choices. I hope that we have, uh, still been able to get something out of today's meeting, despite the issues that we had. Apologies once again about it. All right, but invest in all of these things, and I'm sure that we will have a very, very good health. We'll lead a good health. So let's stop here for today. Thank you very much. We're going to give room for questions and answers now. So if you have questions, you can raise up your electronic hand, and then we will deal with it. If you have questions, raise up your electronic hand so that we can answer the questions. Okay, so there are some questions on the chat. at the moment. So, Dr. Doye, please, you can talk. You can just give us one or two things, um, contribute to what have been said, so that we can you know give a balance to it. So, please, you have the floor, Dr. Doye.
Good evening,
While
sir.
Dr. Doye is talking, if you have questions, please you can raise up your electronic hand. We'll just give room for two or three questions. In 5 minutes thereabout, we should be done. Thank you very much. Yes, please go
Okay,
ahead, Dr. Doye.
good evening, sir, and good evening to the house. Everything has been well put together. The bottom line of today's discussion is to work towards the preventive part. So it's usually said that prevention is better than cure, and then we're trying to turn our food, as it were, to drugs, so to speak, and then also the lifestyle to help us make sure we don't get to come to the hospital as frequent as possible. So these are basic things that will actually strengthen the heart and the body as a whole altogether. So I think we should take advantage of the talk we've had this evening and then make amends where we need to actually do one or two things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Doye. Appreciate it. All right. So there are some questions. I can't see any hand raised up, so let's just quickly deal with the questions in the chat box. Um, okay. Um, Um, okay, doctor, I saw a write-up that says if weak, take salt. Have headache, take salt. No energy or brain fog, take salt. Please, how true is it? Dr. Daniel, you want to help out with that?
Okay, sir. Well, I don't think there's any direct association between headache and salt as a reliever of headache, basically. So if there's headache, a number of things will possibly cause headache. And depending on what the cause of the headache is, will also determine what medication you want to give to the person who has the headache. So for headache, basically, I don't think it has to do with salt. But if you have headache, you could visit your doctors, and then from what is usually you see on TV, they'll say after 2 or 3 days of taking something like a paracetamol, if you're not feeling better, you see your doctor. So basically, if headache is taking longer than 1 day, 2 days, you need to see your doctor. Basically, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to say emphatically that that post, you need to censor it. All right. Now, it's not something you can just take in like that. If you are weak, take salt. No, it doesn't work that way. Like Dr. Donny said, what is the cause of this of the weakness? What's the cause of the headache? May I even say that if you so many things can cause weakness, even elevated blood pressure can cause weakness. Diabetes can cause weakness. So if your blood pressure is elevated and you take salt, you are going to worsen that elevation. Okay, if you have headache and the headache is as a result of, please can you help please help me to mute Mr. Ebele, please. Thank you. If you have question, when you can just raise up your electronic answer, and then you'll be given the opportunity to do that. So I was saying that so weakness, so many things can cause weakness. So many things can cause headache. Elevated blood pressure can cause headache. And so if you decide to take salt because of your because of the headache, it's going to worsen it. It's going to worsen it. So please, it's not everything that we see on the net that we should just take in. Quite a number of them are not, quite a number of them can be very much misleading. Yes, if you want to get healthy stuff, go to reputable sites. Okay, American Heart Association, European Heart Association, WHO, World Heart Federation. Those are the sites you should go to, or seasoned professionals in the field. You can don't just take anything in, please. These are things that can mislead. There are people. If you Google, there are sites that will encourage smoking and say that it increases HDL. Please let us be guided. All right. Please, is eating bread healthy? Dr. Danye, do you want
Okay,
to
sir.
help with
Well,
that?
I don't think there's so much problem with eating bread. And then from the bulk of what
Absolutely
we
no
talked about,
problem.
from the bulk of what we talked about today, we've emphasized on vegetables and then to avoid food that contain saturated fatty acids. Basically, like the red meat, like it was rightly said, the different varieties of red meat, dairy products, and the rest of them. So for your bread, you can always go ahead and take your bread. But the bottom line is for everything we do, even the good things that we do, there just has to be a balance. Things should not be done out of proportion, basically. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, bread, there's nothing wrong with it, but then, it should be with moderation. And then, I mean, some people will say, oh, it's butter bread I want, and every one of that. Just make the healthy choices. Wheat bread is not bad, okay? If you have issues with, you know, um, clogged arteries and things like that. Your doctors have told you this and that. Just reach out to your doctor, who will be able to tell you, oh, this reduce this portion to this. Even those who are dieting will say, okay, you can take one or two slices of bread and then take fruits with it, take this with it, take that with it. It's a blend and a balance. All right. I have a son whose weight is 90. How do I control his weight? Well, we need to know the height of that child so that we can, calculate the BMI. All right. But I mean, if he's obviously obese, then one of the things you can do, well, maybe you can see, you can get across to us later. You can see a dietitian. There are other things that we can advise to do, and of course, you can just tell us that your son to start some of these things that we have talked of. Cut down on fried things, cut down on salt, do more fruits and vegetables. I mean, start exercising. These are things that are very, very important. How do I What can one do to help reduce palpitation? So many things that can be done to reduce palpitation. Because of time, maybe you get across to us and we will be able to deal with that for you. Okay, please help me to unmute Fred Olayinka before we round up. His hand has been raised for quite a while. Thank you very much, sir, for your patience. Host, please unmute Fred Olayinka. We've really gone past our time today. Apologies about that. You have the floor, sir. Please click on your mic
Okay.
icon.
Okay. Can you hear
Yes,
me now?
yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much for your lecture. I really appreciate it. It's very, very, very good for somebody like us. One, I'm a patient of heart transplants.
Okay,
So
sir.
I did a heart transplant since 2016.
Okay,
And initially, it's very, very, fantastic. I could walk very well, but all of a sudden, I start having a bit of shortness of breath when I walk over 200 meters, or
okay.
particularly when I climb the hill. Then what do you think, that could be the cause again? Because a new heart.
Okay, I'm sure that thank you very much, sir. I'm sure that they must have placed you on some drugs, right?
Yeah, I'm on the Prograf, which is tacrolimus and also prednisolone. But prednisolone is very, very, its side effects is the fact that, it causes diabetics, which they
Yeah,
told me, and
yeah,
then it can raise up my blood pressure at the same time.
yeah.
So, but the question is, I decided, this is personal, I decided not to take it on and off. Then when I realized that that doesn't work, then I discovered something which is natural herb, and the natural herb actually very helpful. It's clove, ginger, and also lemon. So when I drink that, that actually have a very positive effect on me. So, but my question is, I still have a bit of shortness of breath when I walk, particularly when I'm climbing the hill.
Okay, so you're a cardiac patient.
Yeah,
Um,
no, they've done
yeah,
the heart
yeah.
transplant
So
already.
yes, they've done the heart transplant. You still need to be seeing your cardiologist. Do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
I see
one?
them every 6 months.
No, so you need to get back and see, you need to get back now that you have complaints. You need to go and see your cardiologist. Do you understand?
I got it.
That response is not just um, an hypothetical number or an hypothetical duration. All right. You need, if you have concerns, I'm sure your doctor would have told you, if you have complaints, please get back to us. Now that you have complaints, your cardiologist will need to assess you. All right. He or she may need to bring in some other drugs. And may I just say that, stopping your drugs and taking them off and on is also not the best way to go. If you have issues with anything, get back to your cardiologist. All right. So that you don't take things to your hand and then things will now, go I mean, on a pathway that we do not want. Now that you are having symptoms, you need to quickly get back to your cardiologist. All right. I hope you have one in Nigeria. If you
No, no,
do,
I'm not. No, I'm not staying in Nigeria. I'm in England.
you're in England, fine. So get across to your cardiologist. I'm sure that he or she will attend to you. It's extremely important, and do that as quickly as possible. All right, so that it doesn't degenerate.
Okay. Thank you very much
Uh,
for your help.
You're welcome, sir. You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
sir. So,
Thank you, sir.
Doc,
Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. Yeah. Doc, thanks so much. I have learned a lot. Should we stop palm oil totally? Dr. Odon, do you want to help us with that? That's our last question, and then we'll close.
Okay, I think it was answered during the course of the presentation that if
Okay.
it's not, it was the two options we had was that it was in a liquid state or a solid state. If it's in
Yeah.
a liquid state, you can still manage to use it. But when you have a palm oil that is in solid state, that means it's not good. And to also bleach your palm oil, which means when you put it on fire, you let it stay a very long time to bleach as well like that. It tends not to also be not to be good, basically. So in that liquid state, you can use it in that liquid state.
Yeah. So if it stays liquid, you're good to go. You can use it. All right. And then please avoid bleaching it. Once you bleach it, you turn it to bad oil. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, two more hands. Wow. Okay, Mr. Adedoyin Mustafa, very quickly. And after that, Tina Umuna. Wow. Apologies. We have really, really overspent time today, but I mean, it's what happened. So sorry once again for the itch. Please host, kindly help us unmute Adedoyin Mustafa. And after that, Tina, Umuna, and that will be all for today. If we have any other questions, we will reserve. Please just write them down, reserve them for the next episode, which will be in 2 weeks' time. Please go ahead. Adedoyin Mustafa, please click on your mic icon so that you can. Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening, sirs.
Good evening, ma.
Hello. Good evening, sirs.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I
Good evening, ma.
appreciate the. Thank you so much. Please, I want to know what can be done to help with heart palpitation. I've done ECG, I've done the echo, and nothing was seen to be of concern. But I still experience it occasionally, especially in the morning.
Okay, so let me quickly answer that while Dr. Donye will deal with the other question. So, with Tina Umuna's question. So, for palpitation, very, very quickly, we need to, so many things can cause palpitation. And then I'll refer you to one of the topics we had, the racing art. I think that was the topic, the racing art. I think that must have been February or March this year. It will be reposted on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, please, you can reach out to the number that will be posted on the chat box so that you can be added to the WhatsApp group. Now,
Okay.
palpitation, a lot of things can cause it. Anxiety can cause palpitation. Taking stimulants can cause palpitation. Things like, caffeinated drinks, all right, coffee, Lipton tea, all right, Coke, Pepsi, energy drinks, Power Us, those energy drinks.
I don't do all those again.
You
No,
don't do
I
all of
don't.
those. Okay, fine. That's fine.
Yes.
Um, Bitter cola, these are things that can cause palpitation. All right. Now, for some other people, you may need to, yeah, you did your ECG, you said was fine. Are you hypertensive, man?
No,
Are you hypertensive?
no,
Hello?
sir.
You're not. Okay, fine.
No, sir.
So,
No, sir.
okay, you're not hypertensive. Okay, fine. That's good because hypertension, if the blood pressure is not controlled, it can cause, a palpitation as well. What I will advise you to do is this: if you've done ECG, resting ECG, and it was fine, you've done echo, it was fine. I think you need to see a cardiologist, man. All right. You
Okay.
may need to do what we call alter monitor. That is, 24-hour or 48-hour ECG monitor. It's not ECG that you just do on the spot and then and it will be printed out. They will put the device on you. You will take it home. You take it to work. You will do your normal, routine works, and then you will bring it back, and it will be studied so that we look at what is really causing the problem. And while wearing the gadget, if you feel anything when you have the palpitation, if you do, because some people, when the gadget is on them, they don't have palpitation. But if you have palpitation, you write it down. You write down the time: 5:30 p.m. palpitation for 5 minutes, or things like that. You write it down, and then when we look at it, we'll be able to decipher, okay, this is what is causing it, this is not what is causing it. I hope that helps, man.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Yeah. Okay, please help me unmute Tina Umuna. Please go ahead, man.
Okay, good evening. So this
Good
is
evening.
Mrs. Singh daughter. I'm asking this question because I'm taking care of Tina. She's 78 years old. She has diabetes, hypertension, split discs, and glaucoma. Cataract was taken away. So she used to weigh between 72 to 75. It fluctuates. But at some point, I started taking care of her, and now she's weighing 79. So, is fat unhealthy? Is it unhealthy for her to be weighing 79 at this age? Then, what are the things I can do to help her so that if it's unhealthy, to help her so that she can get back, I don't know, to something healthy? So, that is my question, to a healthy weight.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
man.
ma'am. Okay,
Please
ma.
go ahead, doctor.
So it would have been ideal to actually be sure of Mama's height also, so that we can
Exactly.
calculate the BMI. So if the BMI is within a good range, within 20 and 24.9, then that would mean that she has a normal weight, one. Then two, because she said she's hypertensive, she's diabetic, it will be advisable to also maybe drop some weight also, because with some weight reduction, you tend to have better control of blood sugar. With some weight reduction, you tend to have better control of the hypertension. So basically, from what has been said earlier today, you can actually pay attention to the kind of fat she
Sorry,
takes.
we're
That
just
will help you.
coming in. I didn't see the this thing on time, and she doesn't check. So I'm just coming in. So I've missed out a lot.
Okay, ma'am. So the
Good.
BMI, something you can Google, but just to give you a little insight into it, you will do the weight, then the weight over height square. Okay, so height square. Okay, if the weight is 79, like you rightly said, let's assume our height is 1.5, so it should be 1.5 times 1.5 underneath. Then on top we have the weight, so that will give us what the BMI should look like basically. So also with respect to diet, okay, to be sure she
Okay.
doesn't do more of saturated fat. It should be more of an unsaturated fat one, like it was highlighted earlier today. Then also to watch the quantity of milk, because she's diabetic. Also watch the quantity of milk can also help. Okay, and also do fruits that are helpful, because not all fruit will be helpful to her because she's diabetic. That's fruit she's going to take that's going to worsen that the blood sugar control. So food that are prescribed for diabetics, you can also work on that. And if mama is still you said she has a sleeper disc, so I guess working around might be an
Yes,
issue for
yes,
her. So it would have been good to be able to
yes.
move around, but she can't move around. So we can use diet to
No,
control.
we placed her on chair exercises, but she doesn't. I'm trying to enforce it that every day she goes and does the chair exercises because for some time she has not been doing it.
Okay. So if the chair exercise was working while she was active, then it might be advisable to go ahead. And based on the prescription of the surgeon managing her. So we want to be sure those exercises are not worsening the things around the spine area. So we need to be very sure. So if the exercise is not prescribed by the doctor, I think we should refrain from that. But if it was actually prescribed, then we can
Oh,
go ahead with that. So you need to be mindful of that
oh, it
also.
was not prescribed, so I'll send them to him to check it.
Uh-huh. Okay. So I don't know if these little answers maybe give
It
some.
does. I have a question. What
Okay.
kind of fruits are actually okay for diabetics? Because she eats every fruit. She eats pineapple, she eats watermelon, she eats pawpaw, she eats pear. You eat
Pineapple is
small
very
and
sweet.
we make juice for you.
Okay, pineapple is very sweet. Even when you taste it yourself, pineapple, oranges, those are very sweet. Even watermelon could actually be very sweet. So what they prescribe for them most of the time are a carrot, a cucumber. Some might even give leverage of apple. Some could actually accept apple. Garden egg is also good for them. So they can take the usual very sweet fruit.
Okay, but I can do like a watermelon smoothie for her with all these other fruits you've called.
Watermelon is very sweet, now. So you could actually alter the
Oh, so
sugar.
it's not good.
No.
Oh,
So
okay.
to emphasize again, carrot, cucumber, garden egg. You can do all of those ones for her.
Avocado
Okay,
pear.
carrot,
Avocado too.
cucumber, garden egg, and avocado. I'll write them down now.
Avocado pear. You can do beetroots. Okay. You can put
Okay.
cabbage. All right. Yeah, beetroot and cabbage, they are, in between, what do you call it, vegetable and fruit, but you can put. All right. If you want to, I mean, because she's elderly, she may not want to take it if it's bland and not sweet at all. So you can add just a little bit of watermelon and then put a lot of all of these other things,
Okay.
and help her, yeah. Or occasionally you can, if you raise the quantity of the watermelon, just know that, I mean, tomorrow or the next day the blood sugar could go up a bit. So it's something that you need to be very, very systematic about. Or at the same time, because she's old, you don't want her to just detest life and feel like, look, everything is what's this and all of that. So you may just need to put a bit of this thing for her and be very systematic. I mean, about the things you do for her. I'm sure that will help. I hope that helps, man. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. We want to appreciate everybody that have stayed. This is our longest. We're so sorry. Usually by 8:05 we are done, but the itches that was encountered the other time when when I was presenting is the reason for this. Apologies about this, please. So on 2 weeks time, that will be on the 24th, I think. We're going to be having another session. We'll round up this particular one for WhatsApp.